On our last episode, we were talking about our own behaviours around social media. And one of the challenges that you gave yourself was to come off social media for a couple of weeks.
Aye.
How's it going?
It's been fine. I think realistically, what I am when it comes to social media is like predominantly creator and a small proportion of watcher. So having the sort of ban on social media has been fairly easy to sort of support. I think there's been a need for doing things specifically for work. So if it was to post for NattyShedLife or deal with anything Gillies Mackay related, I'd try and do that on the laptop. But in some cases, I've had to use it on the phone. So when I look at my stats, like I can see clearly that that's what that is. And the days in which like I've had to do it. So if there's a reel going out for NattyShedLife, then that's when I'm on there trying to make it all hunky-dory. We also did a fair bit of social media around the CITB case as well. So there was a fair amount of interaction with that. But I didn't ban LinkedIn because I don't use LinkedIn the way that I would use Instagram and Facebook. So we're talking specifically about the doom scrolling and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, I could not give two fucking shits about what the fuck's on LinkedIn. I'm not engaging with anything on LinkedIn. I might put stuff there, but I'm not looking at other folks' stuff to hear how delighted they are that they've got an award for their cat or something. So like that's not on the table. But other than that, realistically, I think in my head, I feel like my relationship with it, I've just sort of understood it a bit more for over the past 2 weeks. I know that when I have went to go on the apps as a means for no purpose, and obviously the time limit's there, I can't access them, and I'm just like, oh, I would have scrolled then. Like that's when I would have done that. But it's few and far between. Like it really isn't. I think realistically all it's done is heightened the fact that I check the emails too often. More so like that. Like I think that's probably more of a problem for me than social media is. So it's not been too bad. I've got like I don't have any like desire to have the restriction off anymore. Yeah. You know, I'm not rushing to like, oh, that's the 2 weeks done type of thing. I'm quite happy for it to be continued to be restricted. Doesn't bother me. Yeah. I don't think. If anything, I think it's probably heightened as well. Just like, what am I posting on social media as well? Like to pay more attention to that, to have more fun with that, because understanding that when I go on to look, that what's there is just the same as always. And I think that's probably a big lesson in it as well. Like I haven't missed it. And when I have looked at it, what it's been is just the same shit. I'm not missing anything anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a good experiment. I've enjoyed it. I've actually enjoyed not being contactable on it as well. That's been quite fun. Yeah. So good. All in all, good experience. Fun. And I have created more. I think that was really the other thing as well, is that we were talking about like, what does that give for your freedom of your mind? Whether it's just the social media thing or it's just in terms of our focus just now in general, like I definitely do feel I have written more creatively and thought more widely rather than feeling as if I'm just on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm the opposite for you because like when I've roughly been back on social media to help with the NattyShedLife promo. So on Instagram, I would download it onto my phone, do what I need to do, and then just delete it again. But right at the beginning, I found myself like, oh, what have I missed?
Yeah.
And then straight away, I was just like, no, you have to delete it. Just get it off your phone, because I know that for me, my behaviours is I'll get pulled in. And then it's the same with Facebook specifically as well, was like go on, do your job, and then come back off again. But there is sometimes where I would go on and be like, what's going on in the world right now? And also, is there anything to be thinking about? What could we be talking about? That kind of thing. So it is there for some inspo as well. Yeah.
Shit, sorry guys.
So we're going to go into the kids. Mm-hmm. The kids and their social media use.
Yeah.
So it's more clear than ever right now, and I'm so glad that all the evidence is coming out now about the damage that phone and social media specifically are having on the kids. Mm-hmm. And is Jonathan Haidt, who wrote the book, The Anxious Generation. He's been more public recently. I've seen on podcasts and stuff, and he's really basically ramming it into everybody. Like, this is bad. The evidence is clear, and now they're working on things like age restrictions. We're starting to see things like that being spoken about and potentially coming in around social media, and the ban in schools as well, which is something that came up recently with my daughter's high school, when they were asking parents their opinion on the ban on phones in school. So, like, in terms of the evidence specifically, it's clear as day what social media is doing to the kids. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about how did it all start? Where did it all come from? And I was thinking about my own experience as a parent, and that I gave the kids access to iPads and phones pretty early. I've got one daughter who's 14, I've got one daughter who's 11. And the reason why I gave them access at a young age was because I was under the assumption that they could be more creative with it, they could learn much quicker on it, they could get access to much more things on it that could help their development. And it was also a space, as a parent, you were getting a bit of a break because they were occupied by doing this thing, and it was easy to do that as well, especially when you are busy and you're trying to do all the things as a parent. To give your kid the iPad or the TV, for example, you sit down, watch this for 15 minutes, and I'm going to pop away and do the dishes or whatever it is. It was easy to do it. And I think we all had good intentions with it at the start when we were given iPads to the kids, and that now that it's coming out what's going on with it, I know for myself I'm so angry. I'm angry and I'm frustrated about it because we didn't know. We just didn't know.
But you didn't know, and also it wasn't this way when you first came about this technology. So I think, if I think back to my two eldest children, social media became mainstream in 2012 to 2014. So between that two years, that's when everybody started to have social media. That's when more people had it than didn't. And at that point, my eldest would have been 13, 14 years old. And my youngest would have been about 5. Okay, so that at that stage, when social media became this new thing, where it was easy to manage, in the sense that it was a positive influence in the household. It was seen as advanced technology. It was seen as the way in which the world was going. This is how we are going to live in the future. All of this technology is here, and it's going to make things so much easier for us. And we were sold like this story of connection, okay, and information, which is our generation. And I'll explain this later on, but as the generation that we are in, we are the information generation. We look to seek to find. That's what we do. And the generation below us is different. So when we are posed with the idea of having every single answer to any question you could possibly imagine at the touch of a fingertip, like, that to us is a positive. Like, we see that as, like, you know, a huge, like, blessing. So giving that to our children and teaching them how to use it and having fun with it, all wonderful things, and it has huge benefits to us. So that's when technology came about, right? And then I don't have a child again for another 10 years. So what happens in between those 10 years is this complete shift in what social media is and how much control social media has on all of us as a race, as humans, not as children and adults and old people or whatever. It's like all of us collectively as a race. We are now exposed to social media and the dark side of it, which is the manipulation and the money making and the spin of everything that is bad with it, and how it has changed dramatically to a service-based thing that it was here to serve us, and now we are here to serve it. And so when you look at the effects that the social media has on the children today and ourselves, but more so because of the children are at developmental age stage. So their brains are growing, their minds are growing, and the detrimental impact of what this functionality does for them is catastrophic. And I can see that. I can see that in a full generation's worth. Now, I have had several conversations with my older children about online safety and the way in which they use social media and how they receive it to themselves. And I think, all in all, my two eldest are well-rounded, but there has been a clear impact on self-esteem, on mental health, and the way in which they perceive themselves because of the societal way of seeing social media as the be-all and end-all of everything that they should be. So, like, there is no doubt that it has had an effect on my kids. And as I said in the previous podcast, like, I would be very surprised if there's not a repercussion for this. And I feel like the reckoning is coming. And I do feel like the change is well overdue. But the way in which we parented our children at the first stages of social media versus the way in which we know how to parent our children now, 10 years on, it's two different worlds. And I think giving yourself a bit of grace as parents out there that have been contending with social media for, well, however old your kids are nowadays, you know, like, it's a huge ask for you to have hindsight when you yourself didn't know either. So now we have a little bit more knowledge, and a little bit more understanding. Now we can make better decisions. So when I think about my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old, I think about how different it is for the way in which I am involved with what they do on their screens versus what it was like when my two eldest were young. Based on not just the functionality of what technology they had in front of them. It was clunky, it was hard to use, it was difficult. And if they wanted to do something on it, then they had to spend hours and hours and hours figuring it out. Whereas nowadays, it is the most accessible, instantaneous gratification you could possibly ever imagine, which is smart. Fucking insane.
Yeah, and the kids are smart and they pick it up quickly as well.
That's what their brains are there for. Yeah. So it's like giving a child a new language to learn, giving a child an instrument to learn. You know, these are the things that their brains are susceptible to because they're at this developmental stage. So instead of giving them new languages to learn, instead of giving them new instruments to learn, you give them technology in the form of algorithm advertising. Great, well done. Congratulations, humanity. Yeah.
But like you mentioned about some of your observations with your own kids, and I've definitely seen some observations with my kids as well, and it's specifically around types of platforms.
Yeah.
So you've got so Snapchat was the biggest one where we started to see challenges come into play with just the kids around us specifically. So Snapchat is a secretive platform. That's what it feels like. So you send messages and then the messages disappear. Or you send photos, the photos disappear.
Oh, it's just rife, isn't it?
Yeah. And then
rife for misuse
and accountability as well. There was no accountability. So when there is bullying happening on that platform specifically. First of all, it's easy to bully on that platform, and then second of all, you cannot hold people accountable to it because there's no evidence. It's gone specifically. And there's definitely been like a few scenarios where we have seen or observed like that kind of behaviour that's been going on, and it's so hard to navigate. And even this, like, even if you get the schools involved, schools can't do anything
schools
about
don't
it.
know fuck all.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like. It's like, these platforms are not ours. We're not in control of them.
Yeah.
Like, just because we're adults, just because like the creators of these platforms are fully grown adults, they're not in control of it. The children are in control of it. They're the ones that are know how to use it, how to navigate through it. They know all the functionalities to get around any sort of parental control that you could imagine. They deal with all of that. They'll find a fucking way because you've made them addicted to it, and now they won't want to give it up.
Yeah.
So, and asking authorities, asking the establishment how to make this safer for kids, it's like you're fighting a losing battle. I don't see the answers being held in just the case of the government needs to sanction, the government needs to put age limits. Yes, do all of those things, but in actual to see real change, you're going to have to speak to the kids about this. I can't see it being solved by saying you're not allowed to do that, because I don't know. I was told I wasn't allowed to underage drink and smoke fags, but here we are. You know.
I agree with that, and like, you think me and Stephen at home are very like careful about the conversations that we do have with the kids around it specifically, so that they have their own power around it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're completely off it, and it's harder, I think, for teenagers specifically when all their friends are on the platform, and a sense of fitting in and a sense of belonging is very much part of their growth and their development as well. So I've had the conversations around like, yeah, we should get rid of this platform, and you get the barriers straight away. It's just like, but my friends, you know, and I get it. I totally get it, and I totally empathise with that. So then it's about, okay, and it's about bringing their awareness to how is this impacting you, and what can you do about it? What can you do about it when it gets too overwhelming? How do you behave in like those moments? But on the opposite side of things as well, I've got a younger daughter where we have a little bit, we're getting ahead of it now. We're a little bit more in control of it. So she won't get social media accounts at all until she's 16. She has had access to parental accounts specifically, where we can completely keep an eye on everything that's going on there, and we still do. We're pulling back on a couple of things. So YouTube Shorts, for example, we've said no YouTube Shorts. You can watch YouTube long videos if you want, because that's her TV. YouTube's
like
her
how
TV.
To draw and stuff like that. Like Luna does all that as well. Arts Club. In
terms of short videos, they're banned now. Like, and then our biggest challenge yet is TikTok, which came into
COVID.
playing during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, like the TikTok thing, thankfully my children the younger ones were too young for that. So that's completely went over their head. The problem I've got with the younger ones is things like Roblox, Fortnite, and it's the gaming sites that also have the functionality of chat, and then exposure to things that the kids should not be seeing. So it's not so much about the effects of social media in terms of the content that they're viewing on social media, or the physicality of just the constant doom scrolling and getting that gratification from instantaneous information, and the lack of anything that actually helps their brains to grow. It's not that on the gaming sites. The gaming sites are to do with the exposure to things that children of that age should not be exposed to, and as well as the secrecy that we talk about in terms of Snapchat. That's very much there on Roblox, and I think that the majority of parents don't fully understand the functionality of Roblox or what it is doing to their children. I think that when you think about games for kids, you assume, as a sort of reasonable expectation that it's suitable for children. And I think when you look at even just the way that TV's managed, and that you've got your 9 p.m. Watershed in terms of swearing and stuff like that, right? You would think like, oh, well, we've got all these implications. So we've got all these rules in place for entertainment and media, so, explicit advisories on music and what have you. So obviously it will be the same for kids' games. But it's not. It's not that at all. And in terms of the policing around it, it's not that. It's not there either. And so when games like Roblox are manipulated and they have worlds and platforms inside platforms created by external creators that have like no consideration for children in terms of their safety or development, and our kids are just freewheeling through all of this, completely unawares as to the fact that all of this stuff that they're being exposed to is not okay. And adults don't see that. Like they're not aware to it because Roblox is put out there as a children's platform. So when I think about that's the thing that upsets me the most, is that Luna's going into these virtual worlds where there's multiple different users who she does not know, and they can say things to her and they can treat her in bad ways in a virtual setting. And that's what you can do in Roblox. You can kill people, you can beat them up, you can make them naked, you can do lots of different things that would not be okay for a kid's game. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you want to be able to do that in a kid's game? That's wild. And I'm talking about like from the ages of 3 to 8, say, right? I wasn't adverse to playing Tomb Raider when I was 12 or 13 or Grand Theft Auto or whatever, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real time where you're playing against other people that may or may not be children and have access to your kid. So I think there's such a detachment, or there's such a lack of ownership when it comes to the virtual world and the internet and what have you. Like parents, like, it would be easy to be ignorant of it, is what I'm saying. It's on a screen. It's not real life. But when it has direct, real impact on your child's development, that's where, you really need to fucking wake up. You wouldn't be allowing this in a play park somewhere. Some fucking rando coming up to your kid and beating them up and taking all their Robux off of them. Would that be okay in the play park? No. So why the fuck is it okay on a screen? The whole thing just really upsets me in a way that I'm just like, I don't want her anywhere fucking near it. And then, as you say, you get but my pal this and all my friends play it and blah, 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 blah. And when I was coming to the conclusion that this is end of life for Roblox, I don't want anything to do with it, Luna was amazing at that conversation. She was so, so good. Initially just so upset, like completely soul destroyed, and then she talked me through the functionality of what you can do with the game, and then where the parental control settings come in, and how she can still use some of the functionality to play with her small group of friends, which is about 12 people, and me or her dad have access to that and can see her playing when she's playing it on our devices. All of these things, so she says, I can do this, I can turn off this, I can make this setting, blah, 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 blah. She'd already she had all the answers because she knew my worry was keeping her safe from what happens in the nasty world of Roblox. But what her worry is that she wouldn't be able to play with her friends. So we came to a compromise. I'm still managing it, monitoring it, seeing how it goes. But she knows, and so does Spencer, that they will absolutely not have a mobile phone until they're 16, and they will not have access to social media for as long as possible. I'm sure in 5 years' time, the rules and regulations around it will have changed, hopefully for the better, and we might have, a cleaner way for kids to be able to use technology but not be harmed by it every single fucking day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we will start to see the changes. I mean, but we've got responsibility as parents to do something, but it's also bigger than that. in terms of the social media stuff has gotten so big and so, you mentioned it before, so big, so manipulative, so monetising, to a point where it's the social media company's responsibility to do something about this. And it's starting to come out now. I think there's trials happening in America just now. I think one's called KGM versus Meta et al. Where a woman has taken Meta to court to sue them for I think it's the damage that social media has done to her over her life from when she was younger. Because I think she was on Instagram from about, I might not be getting this right, but maybe about 4, like really young, and all the damage that it's done to her then. And I hope she wins that. And the more that these trials hopefully keep on happening. And you've spoken about it before as well.
This is what I want.
Everybody's going to come in.
That's how I feel it'll go. I feel there'll be a movement where these kids will be able to say, you bastards, this was not fair. You came into my development age without my consent and rotted my fucking brain. Like, I genuinely feel like there has to be a stance there somewhere. I mean, I can't be the only one that thinks it. Can't be the only person. When there's so many big speakers out there that are talking about the effects of social media now, like, they must know the damage. There must be research being done right now about it, because it's fucking disgusting.
Well, there is research about it. I think there's, like, what we're seeing is in Jonathan's book. He's talking about the correlation between the introduction of the social media kind of age, and then the increase in mental health challenges with teenagers specifically. So higher depression, higher anxiety. What we're also seeing is kids are struggling with attention specifically. They are, what's the other thing?
It's the self-esteem was the one for me. It's like that they don't have self-esteem. Like, they have not been able to create that within themselves. And that is the one that's the most soul destroying for me, is that they don't have any belief in being able to know who they are, to be able to regulate themselves. Like, they're just fucking vessels filled with this bullshit.
The regulation one is
the regulation,
so big. I see it with the kids all around. That we have a huge challenge with kids being able to regulate, and for you to be able to co-regulate with them as well, to hold their attention in order to be able to regulate them. And if what I'm imagining is, like, the older that they get, the more they're just going to be little fireworks, kicking about.
But it's more about, for me, I think, like, when you look at the toxicity when it comes to, like, our young men and stuff like that as well, like everything that they're being exposed to online, I think it's more like when you have a lack of self-esteem, it is how influential that you then become. So you are so influenced by what comes to you that you'll take on everything that somebody else is saying to you. If they've got enough merit to win a favour or curry in your mind, then you will just consume that as your own and put that out as your own. So, like, they just have no, like, individual self-belief in themselves about using their own brain. So, like, call me a conspiracist, but as Brené Brown said, like, are they just creating, like, these vessels of a generation to do and be instructed as the big money wants? Like, that's what it is. Like, they don't want them to have their own opinions. They don't want them to form an educated decision. They don't want them to be able to think for themselves. They want them to be submissive. They want them to do as the media tells them. You know, that's probably getting a little bit fucking tin hat, but I don't know. I just, like, I cannot see a good in it the way it is. I just don't. You're going to have to bring it back so it's positive, so we don't end on me being a dick, burning the world.
I just think it's ironic that it's like, when it started, it was introduced as a way to make us more connected, but it's actually doing the complete opposite.
Opposite, yeah.
So, what can anybody watching who's got kids, what can we be doing about it now? like, I know that having conversations with your kids as much as possible about this stuff and how it impacts them, and if you've got younger kids, I say this to like my sisters with younger kids and stuff, didn't bother. Didn't even bother going anywhere near social media, phones, iPads for as long as you possibly can. And help your kids find the thing that's came up for me is that you also need to help your kids figure out what to do in the space that they would usually take up with technology. So it could be something like playing a puzzle, going out for a walk. As a parent, you're going to have to spend much more time with your kids. That is it. As hard as it is.
Ooh, what a wee shame for you.
Yeah. So it's figuring out how to use that time, spend that time, and encourage your kids to go out with their pals and stuff as well outside. I know for myself, like, I like to, the kids come in the house, they like to be in the house, especially in the winter time and stuff, and they are constantly finding things to do in and about the house. Sometimes some of them are on their phones. I know that my daughter doesn't specifically like that because she finds that boring. So it's about having conversations with them, about encouraging them to do baking or something. You have to be doing things with them to show them.
Show them how it's done. Because they're not they're I think when we were talking about earlier about influence in terms of like self-validation, like where does that come from for us as a generation? Whereas our children are looking to seek to find this validation online. So they mirror what they see and they look to influencers to tell them how to be. And then they try and like, you know, be that. That's where they get validation from. If they've done everything that the influencer's done, then that means that they are validated. And we were talking about like, well, where did our validation come from when we were wee? And I think parental influence was so much more important for us when we were young, because we didn't have access to the things that our children have access to now. Like if we wanted a fancy magazine, then we would either need to earn it by doing chores and pocket money or ask a parent to buy it for us well before we were earning our own money doing a job. So, you know, we couldn't gain access to other people. And so a lot of our influence in terms of validation came from peers, so our friends, and being out in social circles and doing things with their friends in person, as well as the sort of parental sort of guidance that we had from either our actual parents or other adults that were caregivers to us. So, you know, I think looking at the differences between our upbringing and what we see now is that our kids are asking so little of us at the same time as asking for everything all the time because of what they've been told on social media. But realistically, when I'm talking about genuine connection and I'm talking about actual parenting, they ask for very little. And everything that I see in the generation that is my younger children versus my older children is to do with commodity, to do with instant gratification, to do with buying something. To consuming something, bubba tea or fucking whatever it is, right? So there's all of that to contend with as well. And I am, because I've sort of like straddled both sides of it, like my older children versus my younger children, I see it when I am like, right, I've got to do skip run, I've got to go to the shops, I've got to go and pick up this, I need to nip out and see your Papa and Granny Caroline. I'm like, in the car, in the truck, you're coming with me, we're going running errands or whatever. And like the complete disdain of that idea. And I'm like, you've no idea how good you've got it. I dragged Paddy absolutely everywhere with me. Like it didn't matter what we were doing, Paddy was there, because that's what kids should be doing. They should be gaining their life experiences with their parents, doing their chores and getting out there and doing what normal things in life are, not just sitting on a screen because it's convenient for everyone. That's how I see it. And I see that, again, as we talked about what it was like in terms of social media for us versus what it's like for kids, I think the answer is still the same. It's just reduce the amount of fucking time that you're on a screen.
Yeah.
We've had it in abundance for too long. So just like get off it for a bit. Yeah.
Get off it.
Get the fuck off your screen. Get outside.
Aye.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're talking about the effect that social media is having on the kids. How about maybe, you know, is the call coming from inside the house? What
Get
kind
off your phone, Dad.
What kind of effect is it having on us
Again.
as the adults?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you did enjoy the episode, then please subscribe to our channel. And also, if you are a parent yourself who is struggling with the technology with your kids, and you can relate to some of the things that we've spoken about today, maybe you have your own different strategies about how you're handling it, maybe you're struggling to figure out how to handle it, please email us at hello@NattyShedLife.com. We'd love to bring up your stories within the episodes and chat about them, or even help if we can as well. So with that, we'll see you next time.